How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're well. A bit of a different one today. If you take a look on the screen, it's a patch which is simply entitled "What Guitar?" And a couple of the questions that I've been getting asked over the past couple of weeks with patch builds and inquiries as well, really, about 9 times out of 10 when you see me on this channel lately, I'm going to be using this very Fender Strat. It's a Dave Murray Iron Maiden signature Strat, Seymour Duncan pickups, big brass block. And if I make a patch and then throw the Les Paul in, which is back over there, the dynamic and the tone of the patch completely changes. So one of the things that I do a lot of the time where the patch is concerned is I'll throw this calligraphic EQ in, and that is there for that reason. So you have to take into account when you're getting any kind of patches that a lot of the time it ain't gonna sound exactly as it does when you're watching this video. So if you're sitting at home and you are thinking, that sounds amazing, God, this guy's so good and he's beautiful and sexy, and then you get the patch and it sounds like a bag of donkey's dick. The reason for that is that it could be something as simple as what guitar you're using. So what I wanted to do today was just give you a simple patch and just show you the subtle differences between each guitar and what, you know, to look out for and what you can do with the EQ along that sort of journey. So up top, I've just pulled out the 2204 mod, which is the JCM 800 that Line 6 have fiddled with. Calligraphic EQ. 4x12 greenback, nothing really much going on there. I've not even touched any settings, and then I've just put plate reverb on the end just to give it a little bit of kind of real life. So all of the guitars that I'm going to show you today will have the tone set halfway. That's kind of my golden area, if you like, and I'll be on the neck, I'll be on the bridge, and then I'll be on the neck, okay? And what I will do as well is I ain't going to jump cut it. You're going to physically see me picking up each guitar and putting it back, because I don't want anybody going, well, he's obviously EQ'd it in between each take. You know, again, them people on the toilet that watch the video that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. So, here's guitar number 1. Pretty good. Obviously with my patches I'd be throwing a load more effects on there. So I'll pick up the Les Paul. See, the professional YouTubers now would be editing it all out and, you know, making it all a bit more interesting, but not me. So here's the Les Paul. So right away you can hear the difference with the Les Paul. So what I'd be tempted to be doing is I would go in and pull some of the low end out. Maybe all up the 2200. To kind of get me back to round about where I was with the Strat. Okay, so you hear the first difference with that. If then I was to take another Strat, if we just revert back to what those settings were, just up the top there like that. If I was to then take another Strat, but this one has got active pickups in. This has got Dave Gilmour DG20s in. Again, on the bridge pickup with the tone halfway. Kind of thinner sounding than the Dave Murray Strat. So with this, I would probably take a bit of the top end off, so it's not as harsh. Have a look at the input as well. This is set to auto. The reason it's set to auto is because I knew that I was going to be picking up the active pickup. 9 times out of 10 I will be up there at 1 mega ohm. So let's just go back to auto. We'll take that out of there. Another a Fender, and this is a repeater Fender. It's not a Fender, it's an Fender. This is actually a kick guitar. I bought this from Tommen. It's actually called a Twattercaster. I built this for my son. It's got really cheap, nasty parts on it. We were going to look to upgrading it. But since we put this together, he realised he wasn't really a Telecaster player, and we picked him up something else, which I'll show you after this. And this is really, really cheap sounding. There's like no power in the pickups. So if I look at our EQ, I'd be tempted there to kind of bust up a little bit of the low end. Just to give it a bit more life. Gives it a bit more girth up the top end. So finally, or almost finally, this is a single coil Fender Jimi Hendrix. This is the Jimi Hendrix signature. It's got them vintage pickups in, which again aren't ridiculously powerful. They're definitely not humbuckers. And you can already hear the difference between that and the Telecaster. Now for me, where that sits with the EQ, I'd probably be tempted to kind of leave that thing in there. If I was going to be using single coil, I would probably come in the front of the amp and, you know, maybe throw a drive in there. So let's do that while we're here. So where is my number one? So that's the Stupor. We do that instantly. And then I'd go to the EQ, maybe take up some of that top. So it's possible with just a couple of little things, couple of little adjustments, to be able to just get things in the ballpark of, you know, each guitar still having its own voice and its own life, but, you know, not necessarily sounding the same, which is something else that a tube snob said to me, which was, all modelers make your guitar sound the same. They don't really. Woo! This is a Ibanez Gem. It's got DiMarzio pickups in. It's a phenomenal guitar. This may sound a little bit chunky, and the reason for that is that this thing hasn't been played in about 18 months, so I don't even know if it's in tune. You know how dark that sounds? So instantly, when we've come into the EQ and we've messed around with a couple of the different settings, took the low end out, you know, pushed up the top, puts us back where we want to be. Maybe take that overdrive out. So let's quickly just take another look at the Les Paul. Tone pot still on halfway. So again, I'd probably take some of the low out, maybe push the tops a little bit more. Push the 2200. We're back again. And the Les Paul doesn't want to stay in tune. Now, Les Pauls never stay in tune. That's why I don't use them. I do love that guitar though. It's a phenomenon. It's a phenomenon. So the number one thing that you have to remember is whenever you get any patch, whether you pay for it or whether you get it for free, or whether you watch anything on YouTube with regarding a patch build and they walk you through step by step, 9 times out of 10, 99.999% of the time, it is not going to sound the same. And the reason for that is the few things that you do have to take into account, and that is going to be the type of wood on the guitar, the tone pots, the wiring, what pickups are in it, because they do have different voices, different tonalities. Some sound darker, some sound brighter, some are really weak, like the one on the kit build Telecaster. I mean, they are terrible pickups. For high gain, at least. I think if you were doing like a bit of a country band, twangy, blam, 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 blam kind of thing, they'd probably be okay. But for me, nah, not so much. I do like humbuckers. I love the Seymour Duncans that are in this Fender. And this is the one that I always pick up and build most of my patches around. So just a quick guide today. This patch, not even sure whether you'd want to download it, to be fair. There's nothing in it, realistically. It might be a good experimental starting point for you. So if you decided that actually I'm just going to put this in the Helix and play around with, you know, some EQ. Now, you don't realistically have to use the calligraphic either. You could swap that out for a high and a low shelf. You could just put a simple EQ in there. The reason that I use the calligraphic, as you've seen, is it just gives me a couple more areas to kind of fine tune where I need to be. So that's it. That's all you need to know. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to stick your fingers in the bell and slap that subscribe bitch on the ass. And stick around. In a couple of days, we'll be back with another patch. And I will do a video on the guitar that I gave away, which is probably worth about £1 million in the right hands now. So, yeah, look forward to that. I'll see you on the next one.